Greetings! Welcome to voiceover land, I guess, in the realm just outside of my garage, also known as my driveway. I've decided to build a foundry, or at least attempt to. I don't have any videos of me making it because I just kind of found a video online and did exactly what the video said. It's called Making a Mini Metal Foundry by the King of Random. If you just put that in the search, it'll come up right away. That's basically just what I did. It's a bucket lined with plaster and play sand. And bottom of a fire extinguisher inside, hole inside for fuel. And I'm using my torch, the torch from an earlier video where I melted copper slightly. And I was hoping to get this hot enough to melt copper. But you'll see I ran into some difficulties. There's a lot of trial and error getting this thing to work. Not the torch. The torch works fine. It just doesn't produce quite enough heat. The flame is hot enough to melt copper, but it just doesn't have enough heat to melt that whole thing up. You can see smoke coming at the top. Try to keep more heat in, it didn't work. Anyway, this is a cool little project I thought I had in mind. Stay hydrated. Always stay hydrated. Yep, very important. This is a project I had in mind for a while. I just kind of got around to doing it. I'm taking a break cutting out pieces of the power wheels because, well, carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel kind of hurts, turns out. All those problems I was having, yeah, that's called carpal tunnel. And I may or may not be needing surgery. Fail in multiple ways. Try number 2. I use charcoal. There's hard lump charcoal in there right now. Using my torch to start it. Torch works pretty good, as it turns out, to get charcoal going. You don't need lighter fluid. Just need a 2,000 degree flame. But what I do now is I stick there's a hair dryer with a metal pipe duct tape to it. I stick that in the side, let her rip, and it gets the coals burning pretty good, as it turns out. Not too bad. I was pretty surprised. You'll see some showers of sparks later. That's pretty exciting. But I was trying to melt copper. Remember, that's my goal here. Melt copper. I very conveniently left my bottle of flammable gases right next to the foundry. That's always not a good idea. Yeah, and I just kept peeking inside, you know, waiting for it to happen. Bringing out my muffin tray. If you watch any videos on melting metal, you'll see people always pour it into a muffin tray. I guess because they hate muffins? I don't know. It ruins the crap out of the tray, I'll tell you that much. But I had permission from my wife to ruin the tray. Just waiting and waiting. Here's one problem with using hard lump charcoal. It burns really fast and you have to keep refilling it. So as it heats up, you gotta open it up, refill it, and it burns it like away. Like, it doesn't just burn it down into ashes. Like, the stuff literally disappears. I think it blows out the top in all of those showers of sparks. So maybe don't use hard lump charcoal if you don't want your neighbors seeing you being a crazy person. Fortunately, I'm boxed in by my house, the garage, garbage cans in my wife's car, and on that one side, my pristine brown van. It's not very pristine. You just can't see the rust through the rust-colored paint. It's very convenient, that paint choice. Let's see, here I take the lid off. See how hot it is in there? Wow, it's like looking into a volcano. Anyway, at this point I'd completely given up. So I'm just kind of using my fancy channel locks, pour the crap out, and it just would not. It would not melt copper. I don't know why. I think because I couldn't get enough fuel in there. Like, I couldn't get enough fuel in there, get it lit and burning before I ran out of fuel and had to open it up and put more fuel in. Now for attempt number 3. Or no, this isn't attempt number 3. I don't know how I edited my own video. Here, this is just after failure number 2. I'm just throwing a bunch of aluminum in there. I got some cast aluminum, so I figure it was kind of advertised as an aluminum foundry. So yeah, figure I'll just give that a shot. It seems to work pretty well, actually. So here I'm just loading it back up with charcoal. I have a lot of aluminum, kinda, but I have a lot more copper, so I was trying to get copper to melt. The thing about copper is you need like 2,000 degrees, and aluminum you need like it to be mildly warm. I think like 1,200, 1,300-ish degrees, which is still a lot. Like, that's a lot of degrees. But it's certainly not 2,000 when you're doing it with like a bucket of charcoal with a hairdryer duct tape to it. It's kind of hard to get the 2,000 degrees that you need. And, you know, as night is falling, I kind of wanted to get this over with so the showers of sparks didn't alert my neighbors to the madman who just moved in earlier. Turn off, very important, turn off the hairdryer, or at least turn down the hairdryer before you open it so you don't get showers of sparks in the face. You don't do that more than 4, 5, 6 times before you learn. So I'm using a thing to kind of try to remove the dross, which is like the crap that floats up to the top. There really wasn't that much crap. I kind of used really clean, mostly clean, previously cast aluminum from a washing machine, and I didn't have much trouble with that. I also didn't have a better tool to remove the dross, so I kind of just gave up and poured what I had. I also used no flux or degassing stuff, which is a thing that I read is important when you're casting with aluminum, but I'll get to that later. I'm a noob. I'm just a hack melting crap into shiny lumps in my driveway. So there it is, the finished product, and from this point on, the pan is ruined. See all that smoke? Yeah, that's the non-stick coating no longer sticking to the pan because it just had molten aluminum poured all over it. So that's, you know, not so good with the baking, but the good news is we have a much better baking pan now that's slightly fancier, so we don't need this one. Once I find the camera, there we go. Oh, no, oh, yeah, there we go. I need to fire my cameraman. It looks like a little puddle of mercury almost, kind of crazy. Like aluminum melts at a cold enough temperature that it doesn't glow red. It's kind of weird. Yeah, remember, don't grab all this junk that you've been jamming in the Foundry. Don't grab it with your hands. Always use gloves. Again, that's another mistake you don't make more than 5 or 6 times. So I'm using my little laser thermometer. Check this out. This is really cool. This is why I did this. So the outside of the Foundry, just after shutting everything down, 94 degrees. 94. Think about that. It's pretty warm because it's like 40 out. Shining inside the Foundry. It's been off for a couple minutes. 824, so just a little bit warmer. That's actually hot enough still to melt a bunch of different kinds of metal. And the top of the plaster lid, focus, 178. So you wouldn't want to touch that, but it's certainly no 800. The aluminum muffin now solidified, 481. So it's solid, but do not touch it. Now I get a nice good close-up once I find out where the camera is. There it is. The surface gets all rough for some reason. I think aluminum oxidizes, I can talk, pretty well. Then I just dumped it into a bucket, let it cool off. So this is kind of how the video went that I watched originally. So you make this bucket, put a bunch of charcoal in it, blow in a hairdryer, throw in some pop cans or whatever, get all the crap out. I didn't have much crap because I didn't use pop cans. Pop cans is EV with a lot of junk, so they're not the best thing to melt, but I do anyway, and it works. So you find a video of someone doing something, and then you do exactly what they did, and you get the same results. Who knew? So attempt 3 for copper. See that fancy little black cup there? That's called a graphite clay crucible. Not only is it the correct thing to melt with, but it's also smaller than the fire extinguisher, which means I can jam more charcoal in. More charcoal, more fuel. Hopefully more fuel means more hot, more heat, more fire, and more meltage. That's the plan anyway. Very much the same as before, you know. Get the thing burning, get it burninating good, refill with charcoal repeatedly. This is hard lump charcoal again, which is supposed to burn hotter, but it also disappears much quicker, which was not advertised on the bag. I'll tell you that much. And after much almost giving up, I had a little bit to pour. Wait for it. There, liquid. Red hot liquid copper. One slight catch. There's about 3 times as much of that I put in. That's all gummed up inside the crucible. So this fuel source shoots sparks everywhere. It also fills the crucible with ash. It's another thing that wasn't advertised on the bag of the charcoal. So there's a whole bunch of copper mixed in with ash. So I think I'm just not going to use lump charcoal anymore. But yeah, sort of not fail. That's pretty good, right? Right? Maybe. It's just kind of a tiny bit. Shortly after this, again, because I felt bad about failing at copper, I went with aluminum, made some more aluminum muffins, and this time I used some pop cans, so that's why there's a lot more crud to pull out. Also, check it out, I got a fancy tool for removing the dross. It's called a spoon. This I did not get explicit permission from my wife to ruin, but, you know, I also haven't told her yet that I completely ruined a spoon. You know, what she doesn't know doesn't hurt me. That's how I'm going with. But yeah, very, very sort of successful. But do you see that bucket of copper in the lower right-hand corner there? Yeah, that's only some of the copper that I have. Like, that's the first batch. So this is exactly why I want to melt copper specifically, even though it's kind of a pain compared to aluminum, because I have a lot of copper, and it's worthless except to melt. Or I guess to turn in, but, you know, scrap's not worth very much. So I'm going to try to melt it into cool stuff. Aluminum muffins are fun and all, but I have a lot more copper. I could build a mini house out of copper bricks if I started melting those into bricks. That would be pretty intense. Also probably hard to heat, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. But the plan is to make the aluminum and the copper into things. So hopefully that will be in the future, in a future video. I'm going to have to work all this stuff out, but I kind of wanted to show all the failures. Yep, dump the things into a bucket. Dump the pan in there too, I guess, because, you know, that's plenty hot. But I wanted to show you the successes and failures and show that the videos that make it look easy, well, it kind of is, but it's kind of not. So if you try anything you see on YouTube and it doesn't work out, don't fret, because sometimes it's not so easy. It wasn't for me. Hey look, I'm talking into the credits. I'm crashing my own credits. Anyway, yeah, if you enjoyed that, or certainly if you have any tips, please let me know, because I need more fire, more heat. Gonna try some other stuff. The briquettes. Maybe briquettes. I found a place locally that sells anthracite coal. Maybe that'll work. Or maybe just I won't use a bucket full of plaster and hairdryer tape to it. Maybe I need to up the game a little bit on that. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.